Welcome to Whitetail Rendezvous podcast, hosted by Bruce Hutchin, and episode number 145.
Welcome to Whitetail Rendezvous podcast, where it is all about whitetail deer hunting tips, techniques, and the stories so you can become a more successful whitetail deer hunter. And now your host, Bruce Hutchin.
Braxton Byers joins us today. Most kids ask for toys at Christmas, but Braxton Byers only wanted hunting films. He was in the field as soon as he could walk, and he's been archery hunting for over 15 years. Whether hunting small game or big game, he can't get enough of it. He's guided whitetails and exotics in Texas for several years, and he also enjoyed guiding fishermen to crappie in his free time. It only takes a few minutes of knowing him to see his true passion for the outdoors. Braxton is also known as FollowHisArrow, a simple classic outdoorsman. He's a small-town man that has several years' experience in the outdoor industry, from working large ranches to strictly bow hunting. He and his wife, Jessica, recently teamed up with 3 others across the country to start a YouTube series channel called Breaking Wild. Their mission as a team is to provide a resource for others to learn how to be successful hunters, showing even the smallest details so that any level hunter can learn something new. Welcome to another edition of Whitetail Rendezvous. We're heading back down to Texas today, and we're going to talk to Braxton Byers. Braxton, also known as FollowHisArrow, is the husband of Jessica Taylor Byers, who calls herself FollowHerArrow. And they're quite a couple down there, the dynamic people in the great state of Texas. And Braxton and his wife, Jessica, with a couple other folks, are starting a YouTube series called Breaking Wild. And their mission as a team is to provide a resource for others to learn how to be successful hunters. Braxton, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Bruce.
So let's just talk about Breaking Wild for a few minutes here and tell the listeners that probably age group starts in the 18s and goes up to the oldest segment, over 65 people all over North America. And I don't know how many people listen every day, but I know we're represented throughout North America. So let's share with them what's happening with Breaking Wild.
Okay, yes. Breaking Wild is a YouTube series that the home cooking hunter got started or had a dream of in his mind. He wanted to set something up with different people around the United States, not only to be a hunting show, but to teach people, if someone didn't know how to field dress a deer, they could go to our channel and not just see the hunt or the kill, but see steps on field dressing your deer, what to do with the meat after you field dress it, and also cook the meat. So there's five of us spread out across the United States that are putting this YouTube series on. We have From Field to Plate in California, who is an awesome chef with wild game. Fatal Impact Films out of Kentucky, who is an excellent producer and predator caller. Again, the home cooking hunter out of Tennessee does cooking episodes, processing episodes, and things like that. And then they picked up me and my wife Jessica out of Texas, who mainly just do a lot of hunting. We don't even know the processing side of the animals. I mean, we take ours to the meat lockers and get ours processed and pick it up. So it's a series that we're all learning on also, and we're going to show everybody our mistakes and how we teach each other in the field.
You mentioned you had 5 states. I had California, Kentucky, Tennessee, and Texas. Was there another state that I missed there?
No, that's it. It's me and my wife are both the Texas. So,
okay, 5 people and 4 states. Got it. So, on the hunting side, what makes you feel that you can bring that to the table at a pretty good level?
The people I've grown up around, from the time I could walk, people at my parents asked me what I wanted for Christmas, and I wanted Realtree Monster Bucks tapes. All I wanted to do was sit there and watch hunting shows if I couldn't be outside. And I was extremely lucky growing up to be able to go hunting. My dad took me wherever. If he went hunting or fishing, I was right there alongside him. And we had access to ranches that, were well-known ranches that had hunting guides and professional hunters that came into them. So I had always been around people in the hunting industry, and I just soaked up every little thing I could to learn everything about it. I've always been a hunting fanatic. So I've always just soaked it up like a sponge as much as I could and listened to everybody and the different ways of hunting and producing big whitetails.
Now, you said in your bio started bow hunting at the age 13. Was that with a recurve or Jennings compound? Take us back to 13 years old and how you get started in bow hunting.
That was with a compound. My dad, actually, when I was around 8 years old, my dad bought his first bow. Him and some of his friends were wanting to get into bow hunting. So he bought me a bow around 8 years old. Well, I could never pull it back, and he just kept, I think he bought me an old, bungee cord or something from Walmart, and he just told me, keep working at it, and when you can pull 35, 40 pounds, I'll let you sit in the stand. So I was about 12 years old when he felt comfortable enough to let me harvest my first animal with a bow, and ever since sitting in that tree and killing my first doe, I've just been addicted to it. I can't get enough of it. I eat, sleep, and breathe bow hunting.
Now, you do have a regular job, right?
Yes, sir. I run a concrete company out of Austin, Texas.
So do you own the company, or?
No, I'm the division manager. I run about 80 finishers, concrete finishers from day to day, and travel around the state pouring concrete.
Oh, my goodness. So do you run the pumper, or you're just the guy that makes sure everything works right?
Yeah, we're just the guys that make sure the slab is finished right and beautiful, and the owner's happy. We come in and pour the concrete out of the truck and finish it with machines. Wow,
that must get, during the winter time's not bad. What do you do in the summertime? Holy freight, it must get hot.
It kind of works out great because in the wintertime it kind of gets slow if the weather's cold, which is best for our hunting season. So I have a little time off during the winter to travel around to our different places that we hunt. In the summertime, we work nights.
Oh, so you work nights?
Yes, sir. We work down here in the Texas heat. In the summertime, the concrete would set up too fast. We wouldn't be able to handle it.
Wow, interesting. So take note, folks. If you, for a concrete job, get a hold of Braxton, but you got to work all night long. Hey, let's go back and talk about growing a big whitetail, a mature whitetail, 4.5 years old, through strict management. What does that mean to you?
Management means everything to me. People make mistakes and stuff, and I'm excited for every animal that people kill, but the ranches that I guide on or I help work, or just the ranches that me and Jessica hunt week in and week out, we try to not only kill the right buck in the right age group, but also the does. We really try to study our deer herd from bucks to does to fawns at every aspect. So we know that, hey, we want to take out the exact deer that needs to go, that is producing, not what we want in our genetic pool, and also that's with protein feed. Down here in Texas, it's not as easy for us to go out and plant a beautiful food plot and get it to grow at the pace that the deer eat. The numbers of deer around here it's out of control. So we feed pellet protein and try to keep the doe buck ratio where it needs to be. And it's just it's a year-round job for sure.
Now, when you're talking about managing, talk to me about a healthy, balanced herd. Buck to doe ratio, how many fawns are getting recruited into the next year, those type of things.
We everybody around here tries to shoot for two does to every one buck, but that's really complicated unless you are on a big ranch. So, I mean, a healthy deer herd around here is, I would like to say, one deer per every 12 acres probably is what you can figure, and that's really tough to get around here, but that's what you can try to figure on your place, one deer to every 12 acres. And then we also, to get those deer that are around to be as healthy as they can be, we have kind of came up with, we like to have year-round feed going out of these protein feeders, and we call them drop feeders, where the deer can come and go as they please. There's no timer on them. It just, as they eat it, more falls out. So we like to put these feeders in areas that the deer will come to all day long and feel safe coming to. We don't hunt these areas. We don't, go in these areas unless we know, hey, we're going to go in there and give them more feed. So if your deer numbers and unless you have, you're in North Texas and you're able to have the grass and the food plots, but around where we like to be in the southern part of the state, we like to say around 1 deer per 12 acres.
Now, how do you grow a mature deer? Mature deer being 4.5 years old or older. How do you grow that deer, and so you can selectively hunt him? Letting
him walk when you see him as a 2 and 3 year old, and he gets your heart racing, and having the people that hunt with you try to get on the same page as you, really talking to your neighbors, trying to get your neighbors on the same page. Trail cams, we rely on trail cams like you wouldn't believe. I mean, our trail cams go out, and some of them stay out all year round, just to, at the end of the season, we're wanting to see which bucks made it. Hopefully they're going to come back. So we have a board, and we put the certain bucks that we know we want gone on what we call the hit list, and the bucks that we are for sure we do not want to, we want you just to turn your head whenever you see them. Those go on the non-shooter list. And preseason scouting and trail cams are really how we keep up with our deer herd.
Now, explain to our listeners the type of terrain you're hunting in, the foliage or the high brush or the tree cover. Tell us what it's like to get in there through your blind, and then what are you seeing out of your blind?
We hunt, and we have one ranch in East Texas, which is the Pine Woods. It's got big, tall trees, and not a whole lot of undergrowth at the bottom of the tree. So you can get in there and hang you some lock-on stands, or in some areas climbing stands, which makes it really nice to film out of. Being up high and where the deer can't spot you is easy. But then we have two ranches also in South Texas where it's nothing but short brush, mesquite, small oak trees, things like that, real rocky, and cactus. So the places like that, you either hunt senderos, which are roadways, or, clear you out, a little food plot area or something like that. But down in South Texas, it's very thick, and everything either bites you or pokes you around there. So you got to be real careful in South Texas.
So in South Texas, do you just get dropped off on an ATV or truck, or how do you get to your stand? Getting
the stands, yes, we take a 4-wheeler or ATV, and Most of the time, we have pop-ups, so we'll just get dropped off a couple 100 yards before, or if you get in there early enough and not think you're not going to booger up the deer, we sometimes pull up to them if we feel like the deer are comfortable with hearing that. A lot of times in South Texas, on the ranches that we hunt, have ranch hands who are, taking care of the cattle or feet, so they hear these vehicles day in and day out, or tractors, or horse trailers, whatever it is, coming in and out of the gates and across the cattle guards and things like that. The deer they're used to hearing all those noises, so sometimes we found it's actually better to go in and make a little noise with the truck or the ATV and just get dropped off and get in the blind, because the deer are used to that day in and day out.
Now, you mentioned ground blind, pop-up blinds. Do you have any, stands, box stands that are 10 feet off the ground?
Yes, sir. I mean, the gun hunters that, hunt with us and stuff, we have box stands overlooking a sendero, roadways that are, pretty straight, where you can see quite a bit of country, because once you get off the roads, you can't see your hand if you stick it in there far enough. So if you can get up high, you can see pockets throughout the South Texas brush. But as far as bow hunting, it's mainly pop-ups. We really like to use the pop-ups so we can, if we spot a buck in a different part of the ranch, we can put a pop-up up there quick and get it brushed in and hunt it the next day or two, and it's ready to go.
You mentioned about guiding, where you say, here's your quote, "It's more gratifying to take someone else out to hunt or fish and accomplish their goals than to go myself." What do you mean by that?
I've got to hunt all my life, and it's still, if I see a doe walk out and I know I'm about to harvest that doe, my heart just goes to pounding and I get excited. But I don't get the excitement whenever I kill one like I do if I take a kid or a grown man who, just gets plumb excited. I mean, I love to see people fulfill their goals and me be a part of that. I love to teach, the little that I know about the whitetail deer. I like to talk to people about it, teach people, and see them accomplish the goals they have set out in harvesting the animal that we're going after.
Now, guiding is hard because sometimes people don't want to listen. How do you handle that situation where you're really trying to give the client the best possible advice, but sometimes it just doesn't go that way? What do you do in those situations?
I really try to, as soon as whoever I'm taking, the client or a friend, as soon as I get with them, I really like to sit down and talk to them, figure out who they are as a person and what they're looking for out of the hunting trip. So then I know how to handle it. If I've gotten people come down who, are just really wanting to get away and relax, and then you get the people who are coming down and fired up about hunting and just want to go all day, setting a blind in the morning and spotting stock during the middle of the day, and then get back in a blind in the afternoon. So I try to be a people's person and understand the different types of hunting that this person wants to do and help them have not only a successful hunt, but a learning hunt and a fun hunt.
Let's talk about the hunting tradition. I know your father got you into it, but where do you see that is today? And by your show, Breaking Wild, what do you hope to send a message out there to the younger people about the hunting tradition?
If I could send anything, that hunting isn't turn the camera on and, a deer's going to walk out. A lot of the TV shows that I love, that I watch day in and day out, they're always killing a trophy animal, or, at least having multiple encounters with a trophy animal. But it doesn't show that that might have been 1 out of the 10 hunts that they did, that they saw those animals. So it's just not about going out there and harvesting the animal. It's about all the work that goes into it, from the end of deer season when you're trying to figure out what deer are still in your property to July, hanging stands, getting everything in that you need to get. The work that you have to do to have a successful year and accomplish your goals is way more than what the average TV shows.
When you look at scent control, what are your, let's see, 5 tips to everybody that's listening about how you use scent control in Texas?
Oh, scent control is a very big part. I'm sure my wife Jessica gets kind of annoyed with me most of the time, but as soon as we get out of the field, before we get into any vehicle, our hunting clothes go off, and then we have scent lock boxes. So we put them in a scent lock box. And in those scent lock boxes, we have scent wafers, fresh earth wafers that go in there. We store them. Our hunting clothes are never inside, are never, worn in a truck. As soon as we pull up to get in where we're going to go hunting, our clothes go on. We spray down with, I like to use scent killer. We spray down. Before that, as soon as we wake up, we take a shower, wash our hair, wash our bodies in scent killer soap. We use scent killer deodorant. Scent is a big part of a big reason why we have been as successful as we have in the field is, I feel like, because we also try to play the wind and all, but you can't, I just don't think you can ever do enough to control your scent to full mature whitetail deer.
Jessica said she had some success using ozonics.
Yes, sir, we do. We do use the ozonics. She uses it quite a bit more than me because I'm usually the one packing the camera for her and things like that. So she has an ozonics, and she usually sets it up and stuff, and I really don't get to pay a whole lot of attention because I'm more focused on the camera and stuff like that. So, but the little that I've been around them and I've used them on my own, I think it's a great product.
Now let's talk about footwear. All different types of companies out there saying theirs, are the best footwear to wear for whitetail hunting. What's your thought on that?
My thought is a shoe is a shoe. Whatever is comfortable to you that you think you can walk quietly in and also safe in, like down in South Texas where you have a lot of cactus and a lot of mesquite with thorns and rattlesnakes. You probably don't want to wear a short boot or anything like that. We have snake boots and things like that. So if you go to New Mexico elk hunting and you're climbing Rocky Mountains, you probably want something that's going to be a little forgiving, but also a little bit sturdier at the bottom so your feet aren't sore from walking across all that rocky terrain. I think it has a lot to do with what you're hunting and how you're going to be hunting. It's also the temperature, So, I think you really need to focus on where you're going to be hunting and the types of hunting you're going to be doing.
You just mentioned elk hunting in New Mexico, and I've seen, some of the photos and such. What comparison or parallels can you draw from hunting whitetails to hunting elk?
Well, here's the deal. I'm not the lucky one that got to go. I've never been elk hunting in my life. Jessica went on her first elk hunt, so everything I know about elk hunting is what Jessica has told me.
So you weren't on the hunt with her when she put that bull down?
Some of it, somebody's got to stay and pay the bills.
Oh my goodness! I'm sorry, Braxton. I didn't mean to make you feel bad.
No, that's okay. But as far as elk hunting, dreaming of going. I'm hopefully going to go with Jessica this year and film her. I know she bought some, hiking boots to go up there that she purchased at REI, and they're Solomon hiking boots. They're not made for hunting, but they were excellent hiking boots. They didn't rub blisters on her feet, and she fell in love with them. So I bought me a pair also. So whenever I get the chance to go, I'm going to be ready.
That's great. That's great. Let's talk about bringing women into the outdoors, into the hunting community. Jessica, was very complimentary about how you helped her from step one all the way to when she shot her first deer and beyond. What are some of the challenges guys have when they're trying to help their girlfriend, sister, or wife get into hunting?
What I could tell anybody, especially men that are trying to, help their girlfriend or daughter or wife or just friends, you got to be really patient, because it's tough for a woman to step into hunting knowing that this is a male dominant industry. I mean, that females are actually coming up in really quickly, but they're already nervous because they're wanting to be as good as the men, if not better. And, most of the time a man is teaching them. So you don't want them to get discouraged right off the bat. They might not be able to pull very much weight on their bow, but just keep telling them, the more you have to work for this. And, women can do anything men can do, as far as I'm concerned. And patience when you're teaching women and kids and things like that is a big, and making it fun for them. Don't just, if you're trying to teach a woman to shoot a bow, don't just have her shooting at the same old block every day. Put a deer halfway, make it fun, halfway behind a tree, and let her shoot around the tree. Something that they're going to enjoy and not get burnt out on or tired of. Just keep it interesting for them.
When you think back, when you were growing up, who were some of the people that were responsible for your success? And we're at the time of the show when you're going to be able to say, hey, I want to thank my dad, my grandfather, or my uncle, or this person or that person, and sponsors. So take 90 seconds or a minute and a half or so, 2 minutes, and give a shout out.
I would really like to thank my dad. Again, he was big into hunting and fishing growing up, and he never left me out, no matter what it was. I was always right along with him, so he's probably the biggest one I have to say thank you to is my father, for always letting me go hunting with him and teaching me most of everything I know. If I would like to thank some of our sponsors, Rat Getter Scents, Hardy Face Paint, Western Outdoorsman, Sticks and Stones, and I'm sure I'm forgetting a few, Limit Supply Company, Nature Blinds. Nature Blinds has been a big help. Avalon Knives, Badland Backpacks. A lot of, and everybody else that we have talked to on this journey coming up. I'd like to thank everybody for their help, and hopefully we can get this Breaking Wild deal rolling like we plan to, and all of our followers, and help everybody in the woods be as successful as we've been in the last few years.
Well, Braxton Byers, thank you so much for being a guest on Whitetail Rendezvous, and on behalf of all our listeners throughout North America. We just wish you and Jessica the best with your Breaking Wild YouTube series, and have a great hunting year.
Thank you, Bruce.
As your host at Whitetail Rendezvous, I want to thank each and every one of you for spending your time with us today. I look forward to sharing with you in the next episode more whitetail hunting tips, techniques, and stories. Until then, keep the sun at your back, the wind in your face, and always be patient.
If you have any tips, comments, or suggestions, or what we can do to improve, because we're here to serve you, let us know. Thanks for listening to Whitetail Rendezvous Podcast at www.whitetailrendezvous.com.